Hey guys, it's Lemming Rush. Today we're going to be taking a look at the AMX 30B. This is probably one of my favorite tier 10 mediums that I've played in a while, so, I thought I'd do a review of it. So, just to start off, a lot of people love to compare the AMX 30B to, like, the Leopard 1 or something. It's not comparable to the Leopard 1. The only thing that it's comparable with is the gun, in the sense that it has good accuracy and good DPM, but everything else is different. The tank I would think this is most comparable to, like the 30B is most comparable to, is going to be like the Sense Action X or like a Patton or something, because all these tanks have really good gun handling, whereas the Leopard 1 just sort of doesn't have good gun handling. So I just want to get that out of the way. If you're looking for a Leopard 1 copy, this is not the tank for you. The 30B won't do what you're looking for, but if you like the Patton or the Centurion Action X, this tank is extremely similar to those things. So just wanted to get that out of the way before we started. Now, as far as setup goes and whatnot, you can see with my current setup, I've got 0.26 accuracy, 3300 DPM. The DPM on this isn't so great, but it's okay. The accuracy is 0.26, and the gun handling, in my experience, like in practice, seems to be okay. It seems to be not great at snapshotting, but once you sort of dial it in, it's very, very consistent at putting the shots where you want it. Now, you can see as far as the crew skill goes, I don't have repairs. What I've done is I've tried out camo. Some people have been telling me like how valuable camo is and whatnot. So what I did on this crew, typically what I'll do is I'll put repairs where the camo is. In this sense, obviously I just put camo there instead, and you do want safe stowage on most of your mediums because they just get hour-racked to hell. One thing about this vehicle that, a lot of people will talk about is the commander's hatch. It's not actually, I mean, it's huge, right? It goes up to here, but this bar up here where the light, or I don't know, is this like an infrared sensor or something? Right next to the machine gun, this right here doesn't count as a hitbox. So you can actually use the size of this U-port to sort of bait people, especially if you rock back and forth. A lot of people will go for it thinking it's an easy target. And just by moving back and forth, this becomes super hard to hit, especially with RNG and stuff. So that's just my experience when it comes to the tank. Obviously, it has no armor, but that's a given. Now, as far as like equipment and ammo setup goes, you can see I just go vents, rammer, and what is this? V-stab, 27 APCR, 20 heat, and 3 HE. And then the typical, setup or whatever. One thing about this tank that a lot of people, I say that a lot. One thing about this tank that I think is worth mentioning is how often it gets lit on fire. This thing gets set on fire consistently. You're going to see in one of the replays that I show, I get lit on fire twice. So running food is a risk. But I sort of have the opinion that if you're showing your rear, like your engine to the enemies, you're doing something wrong. So, to each their own. I'm fine running food. You can just sort of not drive towards the enemies in reverse. That might help you with getting lit on fire. It's a joke. No one get offended. One thing I didn't mention about the gun is that the shell gets to the target extremely quickly. What I've had to start doing, instead of like leading the shots, where I put the aimer in front of the enemy tank I'm shooting at, I'll aim at their front drive wheel, give or take, and that's going to put the shot in generally like it'll hit the tank you're shooting at, obviously depending on the speed. But this shell travel time is absolutely insane. It's like the second you shoot, the second you hit. There's no delay whatsoever. So that's one of the perks of this tank. I actually think it's really nice because of that. So yeah, let's go take a look at the replays. I'll show you how this thing plays, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, so in this game I ended up doing 8k damage or so. It wasn't really like a super special carry. It just shows what this tank can do when you put it in a good position. So what I'm going to be doing on this map, and typically like I'll just go here in any tank as I go up to E7, what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to let me spot all the people who cross over like the B line to get into the 9-0. And generally you can get early shots onto them. Now they don't have any arty, so this is totally reasonable for me to do this. If they had like 2 or 3 arty, I wouldn't be here because I'd just be getting clicked to hell. So this is something you can do in every single tank in the game. What I'm going to be doing here, like, I just have to be careful of my commander's hatch as I poke over. It's not, huge or anything, but it's something, if I keep moving, it's going to be a super hard target to hit. There's a WZ to my side. I see the SCA2 on my minimap. I like to play with my minimap this big so I can see, when stuff gets spotted with my peripheral vision. The SCA2 is there. I backed up. He missed his shot. And now we're just sort of, because he's running away, we're able to try to put shots into this mod 1. Now, the WZ takes the shot for the mod 1. That's not a big deal. This RU, I don't know what he's doing, but he didn't, so who cares? Basically, he just surfed the ridge. He was way too aggressive. That allows me to put a shot into him. I'm going to look for the second shot. I sort of expect this guy to try it again, given that he's already done that, but you see he's running away, so I'm sort of like, he's not a threat anymore in my mind right now. You can see right here, it's just sort of shooting at stuff. There's an STA2 that I have a shot on, so I go for him. You can see the second I pull the trigger is the second it hits stuff. Like the shell travel time on this vehicle is absolutely fantastic. We ended up tracking the STA2. I see the RU coming for me, so I'm going to sort of pull back a bit. When it's apparent that he's not like super killing himself to kill me, he's just half killing himself to shoot me. I decide to move forwards. I'm going to get the extra shot on him. That's like just sort of, Twitch plays right there. In this case, what you're going to notice is this position becomes super strong. So normally I would leave this position by now. They've given me a lot of damage while I was here, and it's sort of like by this point in time, TDs over here will start shooting at you. One thing I'm noticing in the replay that I didn't really do this on purpose in game, but I will do it in the future, is this house right here provides TD cover. You're going to notice that I'm not going to get shot at by TDs. Normally they will have TDs sitting up at C3, C4 who would have shots on me in this position, but because of the way I've positioned the house, they're not going to be able to hit me. So that's just a takeaway from this replay. Everyone is still learning when they play this game, so that's just something I learned while I watched this replay. You're going to notice I'm able to just put side shots into all of them. Now, some people complain about the pen on this gun. 260 pen versus 270 is the exact same when it comes to like actual gameplay. You're going to notice I'm able to put shots into basically the same weak spots that I would in an E50M or whatever on every single tank that I'm shooting at. So putting shots into the side, and this is pretty easy. Now, one thing I want to cover is you can notice I've already done 5k damage. There's two things I want to talk about. The shots I'm taking are not fast. A lot of people think that you have to have really good reflexes or you have to be like 16 or 21 years old to be good at this game. I put myself in a position that made every single shot I took extremely easy. I was just farming the sides of heavies, and that's the type of thing that differentiates a good player from a bad player. Normally, I mean, there's some basic things that bad players may not have, but you'll notice like the position I was using, everyone who was watching this replay could have reasonably made those shots. So it's the position that made me good in this replay. It wasn't like 18-year-old stunning reactions. In this case, I'm pushing into them. You can see the reason I was able to do that. I should probably go back 20 seconds, but the reason I left this position is because we had tanks up here. TDs love to camp on the A line, so when I pushed through the middle, I didn't want to have some TD at like A6 or something shooting me in the rear, so that allowed me to push up once my teammates got there. You'll notice I didn't do it until I had teammates there. Right now I'm pushing into a crossfire. You can see I'm absolutely a great player. I'm being greedy here. There's no, that's basically what it is. I'd love to see if I can make this into a 7k damage game. I noticed the T95 to my side. What I'm doing is I'm watching him on my mini-map. You can see he's not, he could eventually start to pressure me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push onto the grill, get, cover between myself and the T95. That's going to allow me to, get safe and whatnot. So in this case, I see the IS-7 running towards me. I don't know which way he's facing, but I assumed he was going to rush me. So what I'm doing is I'm getting onto this side of the hill. And the T95 has backed off, so that's going to allow me to play this ridge. Obviously, I'm just going to have to keep looking at the T95. Basically, every single time I shoot, I'm going to look behind me. Now, this is a really strong position to be in. Obviously, the T95 makes it a bit difficult, but, I've got side shots on basically everyone. There's nothing they can do. Even though the score seems semi-close, we have the positions here, and they are all, like, one-shots, pretty much. So, you can see we nail the T95. I put a shot straight through his side. The heat is going to pen the cheeks of this mouse. I'm okay taking a hit here. I've got the hit points. And I noticed the IS-7 sort of coming behind me. The mouse dies. You can see I was going to push onto the IS-7, the mouse, because the IS-7 was coming behind me. I put a shot into the scent, and this is really interesting because a lot of people will complain about the size of this cupola. You're going to notice the scent, even though I'm a one-shot, he's not going to be able to consistently hit it. And that's just my experience with this tank. This thing doesn't get, wrecked a lot of the times in the cupola unless you're, like, really not smart about it and, like, sitting still. So anyways, that was the 8.1k damage game. That's obviously this tank is in its prime on this map. But yeah, let's go take a look at the map tactic, then on to the next replay. So quick overview of what happened. I put myself in this position to start off. That lets you shoot at the scouts or, the light tanks who are trying to scout. and anyone who's driving over to the 9-0. So this position right here can do that really effectively in any tank in the game. And then they didn't really pressure us on the 9 line, so I didn't have any threat of someone being here to, dig me out. And so really that just sort of allows me to control who I'm engaging. Obviously the TDs back here can get a line on you through this building like this. But my position, I sort of managed who I was engaging. I didn't fight these guys back here. I was able to just shoot at these light tanks. Like, what are they going to do to you? And that's sort of what allowed me to do so well. You can see I shot down the middle road. I farmed the guys here. And this was an 8k damage game, but it wasn't super spectacular. So if you're looking to be the type of player who can consistently get like super high games like this, you want to focus on positioning, because any guy can just have this super lucky 10k damage game in whatever tank they play, but the reality is you're going to get them more often if you focus on making things easier for yourself, focus on positioning, and that's what's going to get you results. So in this case, I only decided to push in when I noticed we had tanks up here. The reason for that is, like I said, TDs back on this line will just sort of farm you. It's slim shots for them, but it's not even worth the risk. No one wants to get hit for 1,000 by some guy who hasn't left the red line yet. So I waited for that to happen, then I pushed in, and the rest is sort of just me using reflexes to brawl it out. But that's the replay. Let's go on to the next. Alrighty, so I just showed a game where I basically took a tank that was designed for a map, and I did well on the map that it was basically designed for. So I'm going to show you a replay of me on Arctic region. This, I still do well. This isn't like an 8k damage game or anything, but I feel this is like a realistic scenario for this tank to be in. So that's the sort of angle we're going to be coming at on this replay. Now, how I like to come at the game is generally I'll just go south in all my medium tanks. Most medium tanks are very, very similar, so you can see I can sort of just go here in basically any tank in the game and make it work. Now, what you're going to find is that if you look at the enemy team lineups, which is something you should pretty much do every single game, they're super full of mediums, so you can expect the majority of their team to go north in their medium tanks. And the way this map works is the north is very hard to win, especially from this side, because what happens is TDs back here just sort of farm you as you stay here, and all they have to do is push up to here to be safe from our camping TDs. So it's very likely on this map, especially when they've got a team full of mediums, that we're just going to lose the north. So what you're going to find is I'm going to be relatively aggressive on this flank because I'm expecting us to lose that side. Now, in this case, our team does better than I expected. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm just going to be sort of shooting at the Kronvan and the Padden and whatnot. You can see the Padden is sort of, I don't know what he's doing. He basically just kills himself there. That's fine. We're going to keep playing this side, and basically after every single shot, or after when someone stops YOLOing me, I'm going to take a look at the map, and you're going to see it's very likely that we're going to be losing the north. They just have a huge numbers advantage. We have like 3 tanks there, and we have 5 total, but really we're not going to win that if they just push through. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push the E5. You're going to notice, I'm going to come at it from a situational perspective. Look at the map right now. They're full on the north. There's a single E5 right here. I've got a 113 with me. I want to push this guy because we're going to lose the north, and I don't want our team to be, if they're in our cap and we're still trying to win this side, it's not going to be good for us. So we're pushing this. Yeah, I know it's a terrible thing for medium tanks to lead the charge and win the game, but, some people need to realize that it's possible. You're going to see I light the E5 on fire. He lights me on fire. We both burn. But this isn't going to be the end of me. Right here, there's an E4 YOLOing for me. Luckily, he doesn't focus me down. The 62-8 comes to try to take a hit. At least that's what it seems like from my perspective, and he does that. He keeps me alive. And here he's doing a really good job of... to me, he was blocking my shot, but he was just keeping me alive. So huge thanks to Laser Dozer for doing that. Now, in this case, you see I see the Kronvan. I'm not going to poke onto him. I'm just going to sort of sit behind this E4. This tank is not going to win hull down against the Kronvan, but you're going to notice I am willing to sort of take a quick risk to shoot at the Panzer 7, even if it means I might get hit by the E4. I just want to drive these guys back, because right now I'm going to have to be going back to base to try to defend that. So, I mean, I haven't done a whole lot. Based on the team lineups and the scores, you would think we're going to lose this. What you're going to find on this map is when they've sort of turtled back onto this side, it brings their TDs into the fight, or, in this case, it would just be their campers. Now, they don't have a lot of campers, but, normally on this map, what happens is these guys here will sort of lose a lot of HP as they try to kill the E4 and the Kronvan, or anyone in their position. So I'm not expecting us to win this side. You can see 3 of them just got stunned. Like, I'm sort of expecting them to get farmed. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, well, we need to help out the north because I'm not gonna push into their base when they might have campers. You know, it's just not gonna work. Now, obviously, this game doesn't appear very close, but our north tanks are dying very, very quickly. I'm going into this position because I want to get shots on the E50M, and you're gonna see I make a mistake right here, which ends up getting me killed quite soon. I drive onto this. I don't realize that you slide off of it for whatever reason. I slide off, and that's ultimately what's going to get me killed. I get spotted here. I'm going for shots on the 30B. I don't really think anything of it because I've got 500 hit points. They have nothing that can hit me and kill me. You're going to see I'm going to go for the second shot on the 30B. And it's right about here that I get hit, lit on fire, and die right after I put a shot into that guy. Alrighty, so what you can see happened on this map is I went and played the south. Now, to me, it looked like they were going to win the north. They did it a lot slower than I expected, but what I did is I just tried to push the south so we could make the most of our overmatch. We had more numbers than them, so it just makes sense for us to push into them. And eventually I wanted to go back to base. Now, this map isn't suitable for lightly armored medium tanks, but you can see when I decided something needed to happen, I still went and did it. You have hit points in medium tanks. You're able to use them. And I think that's something a lot of people sort of need to practice on. And, you know, I'm not fucking trying to criticize everyone on large, but when you see a side that you think needs to be won, judged, and you base it off what you see on the other flank, you sometimes just need to go. And it, you know, I took hits there. I got lit on fire fucking twice this game, but alrighty, so on this map, what I do in my mediums is I go and play the south. You can see I pretty much just played the south like I would in any other medium in the game. One thing I want to point out, or like I highlighted in the game though, was when you see a side that you need to win that side. To me, I made a judgment sort of error, but to me it looked like they were going to push through the north extremely quickly. It was like a 5v8 or something, like they had a huge advantage, and they didn't take advantage of that, but assuming they did, I wanted to push this side, just make sure we win this side. It might cost me a bit hit points, but you know, it's just playing it safe when you push this side quickly so you don't get pushed by the north, and then you're surrounded. So in this case, I pushed through the south, and now that a lot of people get stuck up on like, oh, I'm in a Leopard 1, oh, I'm in a 30B or Batshot. I can't lead the charge. I've got a heavy right behind me. You have to understand a lot of the times you're going to be better than or more aware of the situation, like at this game than the average player behind you. So just because you're in a lightly armored medium tank and you want to push, doesn't mean like the 113 or, you know, mouse behind you is going to realize that. So sometimes you just have to take charge of the situation and go through, because otherwise it might mean the end of the game. But you know, it takes practice recognizing those situations when you need to leave. So to answer the common question, is this tank worth grinding to? The answer, I think, is it'll depend on your situation. Like most things, it depends. But you know, this tank isn't it's a pretty crappy grind, but I feel like if you already have like a ton of other good mediums, it's worth getting. You'll notice just by going up this line, you sort of get yourself 3 tier 10s. So to me, from my perspective, if you're like rerolling or something and you want to get like the bat shot, this tank is definitely worth getting. If you're looking for your first or second tier 10 tank, I don't think the 30B is worth like singling out and saying, yeah, I want this. But if your third or fourth tier 10 includes the bat shot, by all means, research the AMX 30. It's a blast to play. But you know, in my experience, the tiers 1 through 7 are pretty garbage. So I think this tank is worth it, especially if you have other tanks in the game like the M48 Patton, you know, the Russian mediums, maybe a German medium. I think this is like a 4th or 5th tier 10 tank. I don't think it's worth getting as your first tier 10 because there are better options out there, but it's definitely not a tank that I've regretted getting. So yeah, that's just my opinion on this vehicle. By all means, if you're looking for an M48 Patton type playstyle, get this vehicle because it's pretty damn fun. Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.